Okay, hello everyone. Welcome to your vinyasa practice. There's a couple of props that I'd like you to grab today. And please get creative with what you have at home. And the first thing is something that you can use that is cylindrical. And so this could be like if you have one of these foam rollers, you could use that at home. A foam roller is going to give you a lot of feedback. So it might be a lot of sensation. So be mindful in your choice. If you do have a foam roller and you choose to use it, if your low back is sore, just take it super slow. Or maybe you choose something a little bit softer, such as a couch cushion. I do want to point out that you're going to need something that's relatively wide, right? So it'll span the width of your mat. And so these two props that I have are relatively the same width. And then if it's not a couch cushion, if it's not a foam roller, then it could be a rolled up blanket. And the same way we roll up any blanket in our class, it's a nice tight roll. It's the width of your mat or longer, okay? So that's the first prop you're choosing. And the second prop would be something that you can use kind of like a block, the size of a block, which could be you fold up a blanket. So maybe if you're using a blanket as a cylinder, then you're also using that blanket when we get to that place where you're gonna fold it up. Could be a hardback book, could be a softback book, could be a small throw pillow from a couch. Okay, and so with our props close by, you're gonna wanna be able to reach for them. We'll lay down on our backs. And we'll start off with our knees bent and our feet planted. And we've been focusing on the spine this month. And today we'll focus a little bit more on a particular portion of the spine, which is the low back or the lumbar spine and the sacrum. And of course, with all of that comes work in the hips and the pelvis. And so we'll look at that area just a little bit closer today. Before we do any sort of physical asana work, let's start to turn our awareness inward, close your eyes. You could connect your hands to your body and start to become aware of your breath. Take a few deep, slow belly breaths here. Let's take 2 more breaths. And then we're going to start to bring if your feet were wider, like if their feet were wider than hip width distance on your mat, start to heel toe them to about hip width distance apart. Pressing down into your feet, you're going to lift your pelvis up, slide your cylindrical-like prop underneath the base of the pelvis, so just below your low back. You're looking to rest the weight of your body on your sacrum, on that prop. So just like we would get into a supported bridge pose, that's the same area we're targeting. So make sure it's not at your lumbar spine. Make sure you're resting your weight just below that at your sacrum. Okay, and then the hands are going to come down around whatever you're using. So I'm using my foam roller, so I'm just going to bring my arms around my foam roller and just gently kind of hold on to the edges of that so that I'm keeping my pelvis in the center of this prop. Now we're going to add some rotation here. We're going to roll to the outer hips, and we're going to do that slow and being really mindful of how the low back responds to this, okay? So start off by tilting your pelvis off to your left, and the knees will rotate off to your left, just like you would take a simple twist. And then your top hip will be your right hip, so you can extend through that top leg. Take a deep breath there. Don't force yourself to go too far. Just let yourself stop where you're going to stop. See if you can keep your chest open towards the ceiling. See if you can keep your shoulder blades on the ground and then come back through center. Okay, so you're all the way on the back of the pelvis. Your sacrum is resting evenly on your prop. Take a deep breath in and a deep breath out. You're still holding on to your prop with your hands gently as you begin to rotate your pelvis towards your right. So now your left hip is on top. You can choose to extend through that top left leg. And this top left leg, I'm not trying to get it to the ground. I'm just extending through the leg because it feels good on that lateral border of my leg. Deep breath in here. See if you can keep your chest open to the ceiling, shoulders grounded, and then come back through center. Now we're going to try to add a little bit more breath to movement here. I certainly don't want you to go too fast. I want you to listen to the cues of your body, and I want you to honor your body's edges. When you're ready, we're going to start to rotate back to the first side we went to, which was tilting the pelvis towards the left. The right hip is on top. My cat's now in the way, but that's okay because hopefully you're just listening and following along. You come back through center. And without pausing in the middle, start to rotate to your right. Your hips rotate towards your right. Okay, and then come back through center and start to rock your pelvis side to side on the rhythm of your breath. We're just going to do this a few more times, and we're just signaling right now, we're signaling the tissue around the lumbar spine that we're going to ask it to do some work today. So we're adding, encouraging blood flow to this area, to this tissue. We're encouraging oxygen to this area. One more time each side. So the next time you rotate with your pelvis towards the right will be the last time. And then we'll come back through center. Take a deep breath in and a deep breath out. When you're ready, press down through your feet, lift your hips up and slide that prop out of the way. Let the pelvis come back down to the mat. Hug your knees into your chest. You can rock a little bit side to side here. Last little bit of work here on our back before we start to flow. We're going to take figure 4, right ankle on top of left knee. And you can let that just be a really easy passive figure 4 with the left foot still on the mat, or you can reach through, you can catch hold of the back of the left thigh or the top of the left shin. Keep your right foot flexed and your right knee pointing out to the right side. Deep breath in, deep breath out. Let's unwind. We'll just uncross the legs and then we'll take that left ankle on top of the right thigh. Figure 4 on your second side. You can let it be passive and really, really gentle, or you can add a little bit more by pulling that figure 4 in towards your chest. And you might just notice here if one side feels a little bit more sticky than the other. But if you're noticing things, differences in sides, can you do it without judging yourself? Can you add a little bit of curiosity? Maybe think, oh, that's interesting. I wonder why that is. And then let's unwind figure 4. We're going to rock and roll a few times on the spine. You can make that a big rock, a small rock. And if that doesn't feel good on your spine, please feel free to skip it. That goes without saying for everything that I offer. We're going to wind up in prep for Navasana, Ardha Navasana. Okay, so I'm seated on my sits bones, my feet are down on my mat, my knees are bent, and I'm just going to hold the backs of my knees for a moment. Inhale to grow tall through the spine, nice and straight back. Start to feel your core engage. We're going to add on to that sensation by grabbing our prop that we're using like a little block. So it could be a block, could be a book, could be a folded blanket or a little small throw pillow. Place that right in between the thighs. And see if you can actively feel your inner thighs squeezing that block into place, or whatever it is that you're using. Feet can stay on the ground, or you can pick the feet up. And then notice what happens to the spine. Does it start to really round back? Can you keep finding that nice tall spine? Keep feeling like the chest is moving up towards the ceiling. And then any options of variations of adding on here are welcome. You can stretch your arms forward. You can reach your feet forward. You can straighten out through your legs. You could even bend and straighten the legs. Please do stay mindful of your breath. Stay mindful of the back rounding too much. See if you can keep that lift up of the chest. Let's take 2 more breaths here, wherever you are. Good, and then we'll move that prop out of the way off to the side. We'll come forward into a tabletop shape. And just take a moment here in your tabletop to spread your fingers, plant your whole palm nice and flat, rooted into the mat a little bit. Grip the mat with your fingertips and shift the weight forward into your knuckles, especially the inner edge of your hands. Can you keep that as you tuck your toes under, lift your hips up and back, and let's settle into downward facing dog. And then start to allow yourself to adjust in your downward facing dog. Feel free to bend your knees or shift your weight side to side. Relax your head. Keep pressing the floor away with your hands, so stay active through your arms, your hands. And then if there's that tendency to shift the weight to the wrist or the pinky edge of the palm, roll it back through the inner border of the palm and forward into the knuckles. Take one more deep breath in here. Deep breath out. So one thing that's going to stay consistent this month is how we move through our classical vinyasa flow. We'll shift forward into a plank. And we've been working on that forearm to sphinx to forearm plank. So we're going to do that here. So you can either leave your knees up or lower your knees down as you come down to your forearms. So forearm plank with or without the knees, pause there, breathe, stretch back through your heels, stretch forward through the crown of your head, hug your navel into your spine, one more big breath in, and then set those knees down, lower the pelvis, a little grip at the fingertips, pull the heart forward, deep breath in, deep breath out. And then start to tuck the toes back under. We're going to come back to our forearm plank. Take your time. First, engage your core. So feel your navel hug into your spine. Then lift the pelvis, still on the knees. You can stay right there or lift the knees, find that forearm plank. And then you can stay right here in forearm plank to walk forward to dolphin. You can lift the hips up, walk the feet forward, or you can walk your hands up into downward facing dog. If you're in dolphin, take a moment, pause there, breathe. And then we'll meet in our downward facing dog, lifting the elbows and forearms away from the mat. Let's all take one big breath in our downward facing dog. Good. Let's start to walk the hands back to meet the feet. So you're going back to meet the feet. Hands walk back to the back of the mat. Deep breath in here. Uttanasana, your first forward fold. Generous bend in the knees. And then as you're ready to inhale, let's crawl the fingertips up the shins, find a halfway lift, Ardha Uttanasana. Use your core to find this lift. So shoulders slide down the back, shoulders at least as high as the hips, if not higher. Feel the whole core engage. Use your back body to create this halfway lift. Press down into your feet and then come all the way up to standing. Inhale, reach the arms up and overhead. And then exhale, we'll slide right back down into our forward fold. Take your time with that, bend your knees if you need to. Let's walk the hands forward back into our downward facing dog. Settling back into downward facing dog. Take a deep breath in, deep breath out. Shifting forward to your high plank, we're moving back through that vinyasa. So you know where you're going, you've done this. Coming down to the forearms, one arm at a time. Maybe you try simultaneously as you start to feel yourself getting stronger and learn how to use those muscles around the spine. Okay, so either way, meeting in forearm plank, with or without the knees. You can always set those knees down, take a breath, find the length. And then let's all meet in Sphinx. So soften the knees, soften the pelvis, pull the heart forward. Keep the shoulders melting down the back so your neck is nice and long and neutral. Little grip of the mat with your fingertips. Can you feel your lats engage, the muscles around your shoulder blades? Those big, powerful back muscles really support the spine. Let's back our way out of this one step at a time, tucking the toes under, engage the core, lift the pelvis. And then if it's wise to do so, you can lift the knees, forearm plank. Option to lift the hips up and walk the feet forward for dolphin. Option to skip that altogether. You could take child's pose. You can come right up to downward facing dog. So those are always, always, always options. If you're in dolphin still, let's meet up in downward facing dog. Deep breath in. Deep breath out. Start to walk the hands back to meet the feet one more time through this flow, a little bit more breath to movement. So back of the mat, Uttanasana, forward fold. Inhale, Ardha Uttanasana, halfway lift. From here, press down through your feet, reach your arms forward, come all the way up to standing. And then exhale, we'll fold right back in, moving back through our vinyasa flow one more time before we add on. Walk your hands forward, downward facing dog. Shift forward, high plank. Option to try that simultaneous lower to forearm plank. You probably have to wiggle your feet back to find the length of the spine as you settle into your forearm plank, with or without the knees. Breathe in. Lower the body into Sphinx. So the knees come down, the toes untuck, the pelvis relaxes, and you pull your heart forward, breathing in here in your back bend. And set up for another forearm plank, tucking the toes, engaging the core to lift the pelvis, option to lift the knees. Maybe walk the feet forward for dolphin. Sometimes it's really hard on the shoulders, or elbows, or whatever is going on in your body, just honor it. Remember, this is just an option. It doesn't have anything to do with your value, your worth. If you skip something, if you modify something, it's really a sign of being an advanced practitioner that you can listen to your body. Okay, so meet up in down dog. Deep breath in. Deep breath out. We'll inhale and step the right foot forward. So just simply stepping the right foot forward, left knee to the mat. Low lunge, right foot's forward, inhale, arms stretch up. Okay, so press down through your right foot and then see if you can kind of shift your hips back a little bit. Press down through the top of your left foot until you start to feel a little bit of engagement across that left thigh. See if you can keep that and then move the hips forward. Okay, arms can reach overhead. If you want to intensify this a little bit, left arm reaches off to the right. So really just opening up the front border of the left side of the body. Big breath in here. Big breath out. Bring the torso and shoulders back through center, hands forward, frame out that right foot. Tuck the back toes, listen. Right foot's gonna heel toe to the left side of your mat. We're gonna set up for a variation of pigeon, an active pigeon. So right foot heel toe to the left side of your mat. You're gonna lay down the outer edge of your right leg for pigeon. Then you can untuck the back toes, walk up to your fingertips. This is that unsatisfying variation of pigeon where you're gonna actually work in this shape. instead of sinking forward and down into a passive stretch. So you can stay here on your fingertips, okay? Or you can walk the hands back alongside the hips, get lighter on the fingertips, get more erect in the spine, and see if you can maybe take your hands off the ground. Now to do this, you're really actively pressing down into that right shin and the back left foot. So the legs are very, very active here. Whatever variation of pigeon you're taking, walk your way out of it. So bring your hands forward, press down through your hands, tuck those back toes, come back to that right foot. We're gonna stay on this right leg. I know this is probably starting to get a little bit tired, but stay on your right leg. Come back to your low lunge. Okay, right foot still forward, left foot still back. You're in your low lunge. Left knee is lifted. Both arms sweep forward and up. Find your crescent lunge. Settle into your crescent lunge. Maybe there's a little bend in that back left knee. Hands come to your heart. We're going to layer on a twist here. Instead of worrying about if your left elbow is going to hook or not outside of your right thigh, I want you to think about distributing the weight across the whole length of your spine. Okay, so maybe that looks like I'm just going to lean forward a little bit, hands at my heart, thumbs stay centered at my chest. I'm rotating to my right, and then I feel where my spine stops me and I honor that. So I'm not efforting to hook that left elbow at all. I'm not even touching my left elbow to my right thigh anywhere. I'm rotating with my spine, using the muscles of my spine, the muscles of my core, and letting this rotation stop me where my body says to stop me. Start to unwind, hands back to the mat, step back, high plank, option to come down to forearm plank. Take a beat in forearm plank if that's where you are. Come forward into Sphinx, take a breath in there. Tuck the toes, lift the hips, forearm plank. Option to walk forward into Dolphin. We'll meet up in Downward Facing Dog. Deep breath in, deep breath out. Simply stepping the left foot forward. Left foot steps forward, right knee to the mat. Second side, arms reach forward and up. Okay, now as you come into this low lunge, back the hips up a little bit, feel the engagement of the top of the right thigh. Keep that as you shift the hips forward and down. If you want to add on, right arms reaching off to the left side. Okay, so you're opening up the whole front side of the right side of the body. Take one more breath here. Come out of that side lunge. If you took it, hands forward and down, heel toe that left foot to the right, setting up for your active pigeon. Left foot, heel toes to the right, lay the outer edge of the left leg down. Come up to your fingertips, find that pressure into the left shin, top of the right foot. Either stay there or walk the hands back, get a little bit more erect in the spine if you can, and maybe play with moving the hands. And it might just be like you hop your fingertips off the ground for like a second. Wherever you are, take one more breath. And we'll come out of this by placing the hands forward on the mat, tuck the back toes, bring that left foot back to planted so you're in your lunge. Let's find that crescent lunge. Arms sweep forward and up. Might feel a little bit wobbly, that's normal. We're starting to fatigue the muscles here on purpose. Maybe a little bend in that right knee. Hands to the heart. Lean forward with your torso. Okay, remember, this twist is more about the equanimity throughout the spine, distributing the sensation of twist instead of how far we go. I want you to be unconcerned with whether or not this right elbow hooks onto anything. Just actually let go of that idea altogether and rotate the torso towards your left. The right elbow is not even going to get close, okay? I want you to just let go of that for now. And see where your body stops you. Take one more breath here. And then unwind back through center, hands forward on the mat. Step back to high plank. Lower down to the forearms. One more time in our plank, forearm plank. Set the knees down, come all the way to the belly, find your Sphinx. Now, if Sphinx is feeling really good for you today, if it's feeling like, oh, this is enough, this is all I want to do, feel free to stay in Sphinx. If you want to add on to your back bend, if it's wise to do so, I'm going to give you the option of Dhanurasana bow pose. This would mean you'd bend one knee, reach back, grab a hold of that ankle with a corresponding arm, and then you'd bend the opposite knee, reach back with that same arm, grab the outer ankles. So now each hand is holding the outer ankle. You're coming here, kick into your feet, lift your chest. And again, this is not about how far you go or how deep your back bend is, but how equally can you distribute the effort through the whole spine. Wherever you are, whether it's Sphinx, one more breath. If you're in bow pose, start to release. And then we'll all meet in a belly down shape, hands resting underneath the forehead, elbows wide. It's like you're making a little pillow with your hands. Option to stay still right here or bend the knees and wave the feet side to side. And then relax the feet if you're moving them, hands underneath the shoulders. Press up and back, child's pose. Take one more breath in your child's pose. We'll come all the way onto our back from here. Last little rotation, supine twist, hugging the knees into the chest. Knees can move off to the left side. If there's any variation of your twist you want to take, feel free to do that. We're going to be here for 3 breaths. Begin to unwind. Second side. Knees off to your right now. Beginning to start to draw the awareness back into your current experience, maybe closing your eyes. Just feeling your body slow down, feeling the breath slow down. 3 breaths here. And then coming back through center, little hug of the knees into the chest, realign the spine. If there's any last movement you want to take before Shavasana, feel free. I'm going to set us a timer right now for a minute-long Shavasana. Starting to relax the shoulders down the back. Take a deep breath in through the nose. Open your mouth, exhale the air out. Let your jaw relax. Let all of the muscles of the face soften. Let it go, let it rest. Please feel free to stay in Shavasana as long as you can. If you're ready to move on with your day, starting to deepen the breath, add gentle movement back to fingertips and toes. You might reach your arms over your head and breathe into the length of the body. Beginning to bend the knees, rolling off to a side through fetal position. And when you're ready, you can press your way up to a comfortable supported seat. We'll just be here briefly, a few breaths to sit tall. Relax your hands anywhere that feel comfortable, maybe connecting them to the body somehow. Feel your shoulders align over your hips and your ears align over your shoulders, perhaps keeping the eyes closed. Taking a moment here to acknowledge how you feel. Notice if anything's coming up for you, mentally, emotionally, physically, what it is, where it is in the body. And just acknowledging that it's there, that it's allowed to be present, whatever it is. And in closing, if you'd like, you can join your hands together at your heart and bow the chin into the chest. Acknowledging this is my body, this is my breath, and with reverence and gratitude for the practice. May we use the fruits to serve our highest good. May we share it with those around us that we love and who could use healing. May we send love and healing to all sentient beings. May they be happy, may they be free. Namaste. Thank you so much for joining me today, everyone. Spend a little bit more time on the spine for the rest of the month. As always, I welcome your questions, your comments, and hope you have a wonderful rest of your day and come back again soon.